Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Colin's Punk Rock World podcast. My name is Colin, and I do Colin's Punk Rock World and CPRW Records. Today, we are joined by some, which are hopefully familiar faces who have joined us in the previous week's podcast. We got Richard.
Hi, everyone.
Dan.
Yeah.
And Lara.
Hello.
Right, as everyone's already done the what have you been listening to in lockdown questions, the answer is old stuff. We're just going to go straight into the the main bulk of the podcast this week, and which is fantasy festivals. So come up with the idea of we're all going to put on a fantasy basically our fantasy festival of I guess a dream lineup, but we've also got to follow some very strict rules. Those rules are you have to have 8 bands, and one of them and plus a after party band, so 9 bands with the after party band. A maximum of 1 band from the USA. You have 1 acoustic act, 1 band with someone who doesn't identify as a man, at least 1 band that features a person of color, 1 band that formed in the last 2 years, 1 band from mainland Europe because fuck Brexit, 1 band that are reuniting, and 1 band that is too big for a small 350 cap venue. And the after party band has to be doing something new. It can't, for example, be the Burnt Tapes covering the Menzingers, or Call Me Malcolm doing Less Than Jake. It's got to be a new one that hasn't been done before. Right, so part of the reason we put these rules in was to make sure our rule days are inclusive, because we feel like that's a really important thing. I know Richard wanted to say some words about that.
Yes, when we were talking about this on our sort of chat group, I think we've all been there where we've seen sort of the lineups announced for sort of Slam Dunk, and you look at the representation of sort of minority voices on sort of the main stages, and I think it was it last year before, there's 3 women on the 2 main stages of the whole weekend, and you just think there's the argument that was put forward is there's not enough of those artists out there to fulfill the slots that the booking agents are looking for, the bookers are looking for. And you think, but surely that's part of the problem, because if you're not booking those people to give them a platform and to give them a voice, you're already preventing them from succeeding and getting out to a wider audience. So I think when we were sat down and we were sort of having this conversation over our chat, we were really thinking sort of, how do you try and make these festivals sort of more successful, more appealing to a broader audience, but also provide more of a platform for people. So I think that's where it came from. And I know that Festival Republic, I think is it Marvin Ben, I think it is, said they're trying different ways to try and provide sort of platforms and opportunities for sort of women in the industry to sort of access recording space and things like that, which is fine, but you've still got to get people out in front of people, and the best way to discover new music is by actually being at a venue, seeing a band, sort of walking away afterwards thinking, do you know what, that's the best thing I've ever seen. And if you're not giving them that opportunity, you're never going to get the voices out there. So I think sort of certainly between all of us, when we've been sort of pulling these fantasy festival lineups together, we've been really keen about sort of trying to provide as broad a platform as possible. And I think, we're sort of happy to sort of probably sort of critique each other's lineups as we go through as well. I think it's been quite interesting today, seeing sort of how people have come up and interpreted sort of the brief that you've given us. So yeah, I'm sort of looking forward to this. I think it's been quite exciting.
Yeah, I've come up with the idea of yes, we have to do that. And I know the other guys in the group are keen on doing it as well, so we probably will do another one. So I get to do it again. And Emma, who doesn't want to appear on the podcast, has just sat and done one by herself and was putting together a set list for her after party band that she wants them to do, and it was fantastic procrastination. But okay, so we're just gonna go around in a circle. We haven't really organized yet, but we'll wing it. And so we're going to start with the opening act, and then sort of work our way up the festivals. And when we get to the headline band, we're going to try and guess each other's headline from, because I'm going to assume everyone's sort of has a theme towards it and a similar sounding group of bands. No, okay, we're never guessing. We'll have a go. I think I know Dan's, because even though he's told me it's not direct hit, but I have this other idea in my head. So yeah, so Dan's going to start us off. So take it away.
Okay. For my opener, I have picked a band that I don't think a lot of people are going to have heard of. It's sort of, there's a band that I wish to see again, which is growing up in the Reading local scene. There was a band that we immediately became friends with playing around locally because they were one of the only bands our age, which is Rail 27. They played sort of like... I'd say it's like more crusty sort of punk, like ska punk that's like really sort of political in theme, but like was like rough around the edges because they were sort of young teens, like 20s. So it's like really, really good stuff. And they put out 2 EPs and an album in their time, and they're some of the best songs I've ever heard. Their album's called The Great Unwashed, which it just features like songs like Don't Tell Me How to Smell, which is like this anti-authority song about like just not society telling me that I have to smell good and have to take a shower, which is just really funny and like entertaining. And as an opening band, I think they'd be like fucking fantastic. And like, I just wish I could see them again. I think they broke up like a good sort of 3-4 years ago now. We ended up playing their last show with Jet 8, which was like, it was fantastic. But yeah, I'm just sad that I never got to see them again after that point. So I've put them as my opener.
Okay, you have your reunion band as your opener.
Yeah.
Wow, it's bold.
This is very bold, isn't it?
Who you got next?
I thought we'd go to whoever's next.
Oh no, we literally do all of your stuff. So take a big gulp of water.
Okie dokie. European band next. And I'm going to hit 2 in one. A band that has basically been formed in the last 2 years with Fabled Mind. Heralding from Lockjaw Records. They're basically skate punk sounding like Rise Against. They played Do It Together Fest, which was Colin, Sarah's and Paul's joint birthday this year. And it was the second time I'd seen them. No, third. And they're just absolutely fantastic. It's probably like the best new album I've seen from a band. I think I put it second on my albums of the year list last year. They're just absolutely fantastic political punk. And like, I just think they're absolutely fantastic and deserve every gig that they get. Like, yeah, there's nothing really more to say about it. But like, when I saw them at Do It Together Fest, I was like losing my mind, like how good they are singing like the lyrics, while there was maybe like 20 people in the room. So like,
there was more than that. Don't undersell my birthday party. There were loads of people there.
Yeah, I thought they were fantastic. Yeah.
Cool.
To follow up from them, I've gone with Midwich Cuckoos, who I can't remember when their record came out, but ever since I've seen them, they also feature Leslie from Lockjaw Records. Whenever I see them, they're just absolutely fantastic and blow me away. I first saw them playing a gig in the Unicorn, I think, with Fast Fade. And I think I saw them and Fast Fade for the first time on the same night. I think Krang were headlining. And like, I just thought they were fantastic. Like, perfect blend of like metal and punk. And it just sounds absolutely amazing. My fourth band is Boom Boom Raccoon.
Nice.
Acoustic loveliness, like everything about them I just absolutely fall in love with. Like Ivo, like I've enjoyed every band that Ivo has been in, and like his writing and the stuff he writes about is absolutely fantastic. They've got a song about stealing biscuits from a biscuit factory, which is just amazing. All their political stuff is like hard hitting and perfect. It's like fast paced but upbeat. Everyone sings along. I saw them doing a Chewing on Tinfoil cover at MPF, and it was just absolutely.
Oh, I wish I'd have seen that.
Oh, it was so good. Like everyone in the room just like was literally connecting over it, and it ignited. Like I think they were one of the best things I saw at MPF because of it. Like they're absolutely fantastic, and I just love them every time I see them, and I wish I could see them more often this year. I'm really looking forward to their next album, because like their first album was like absolutely perfect, and it just hits this blend of being acoustic but being like really well written punk rock at the same time. Moving up my lineup, I've gone for my fifth band being Drones. Drones, I have a new album coming out next year, and from what I've heard from the singles, it's absolutely fantastic. The big thing to realize is like they're just absolutely hard-hitting political punk fronted by Lois, who is stepped into the shoes of Daly from previous, and she just absolutely raises the roof every time they play. Like, they are just absolutely tight, down to the nails punk rock that just literally politically like is in the right space, especially songs like Anchors where they're talking about refugees, like really like connect with me. Absolutely love it. Like, we got to see them this year playing in a brewery, and it was just absolutely fantastic seeing them do a headline set up, which I'd never seen. And like, I want to get them and book them in Reading, because like, I think they're just absolutely fantastic. And the Herald from Camberley as well, which is right near where I live. So yeah, I've just absolutely would love to see them again. Following up from Drones, I've got the logical superseding band from Drones, which would be the Human Project. The Human Project, if you've not heard them before, are probably the best political punk band in the UK. Like, I would go out on a whim and say that. Like, technically skate punk, like really, really techie riffs, really hard hitting political lyrics, which really make you think. Best songwriting that I've heard in a good long time. Both their records, Clarion Call and Origins, are just two of the best records ever coming out on Lockjaw. Like, every song that they do, and even when they move away from politics and talk about mental health, it still hits perfectly. I got to see them in Manchester for the first time when I went up for Sarah's Shout Louder Fest, and that was like absolutely, like, they delivered on everything. Like, I was chatting to their guitarist without realizing it before they played, and I said that I was really looking forward to Human Project, not knowing that he was in Human Project. And like, we laughed it off. And like, they just seem like the nicest guys, and like every lyric I could remember, every like note and everything is like catchy as hell, and it's just all in my head. Yeah. So my one from headliner is Moscow Death Brigade, which is going to take a very sidestep. I've literally fallen in love with them. They are a rap, I'd say rap rave, like punk band, where it's like literally they all have like really ravey sort of hip hop beats with like heavy punk rock chords. Like, literally, it's the weirdest thing I've heard this year, but I've absolutely fallen in love with them. And the first opportunity I get to see them or play with them, we're gonna take it completely and just go. Like, I just want to see what sort of crowd they get, what sort of energy they ignite on stage, because like on their records they just feel absolutely like astounding. Like, I've not heard a sound like that in a long time, and it just like literally, I've fallen in love with every single song. So like, second from headline, definitely having them, getting them over from Russia and just literally having a great time. Nice. Yeah, I'm up to my headliner now.
So we've now got a guess. So my guess, because I know how much you love them, was Anti-Flag.
I thought that'd be your guess, and
yeah.
It's incorrect.
Oh. Wow.
I've actually gone for my Anti-Flag is one of my favorite bands going, but I've gone for one of my other favorite bands. So I've gone for Mindless Self-Indulgence.
Oh, I'd never ever get that.
I thought you wouldn't. As a band, Mindless Self-Indulgence, like, I can talk about them forever. They fall into like a category of punk rock which they've defined themselves. It's very electro with like house sort of influence, and then you've got the punk rock on top of it. It's weird, it's wonderful. Every record they've put out is different and breaks what I call like any barriers or lines that I'd ever seen. Like, they seem to be able to push the boundary before everyone else gets to it with production and the way they're writing things. Like, they're 10 years in front of whoever's doing whatever, and some of their records are like literally my favorite things to listen to, and I'll put them on and discover new things because of how detailed their records are. The unfortunate thing is they go on hiatus rather often, so they're not technically broken up, but they're not together, essentially. And the last time I think they visited the UK was 5 years ago. So, yeah, well, I went and saw them when I was, I think, like 17. And it was just one of the best shows I've ever been to. Like the crowd energy and like the atmosphere was just electric. They hit everything perfectly. They're one of the only bands that play with a click track that like I just like literally I couldn't. They make click tracks like feel like every band should play to a click track. That's like you wouldn't even notice if people went, yeah, this band plays to a click track. Their vocals are just all over the place, like the way they blend things together, and every show is just absolutely an atmosphere. It's just yeah, my favorite band going, probably in that sort of genre, like up there with Direct Hit and Anti-Flag. Like yeah,
Cool. I should listen to that band. I don't know if I've ever listened to them, but you've sold them really well.
I'd recommend either the most recent record, which was how to stop giving a shit and love mindless self-indulgence, or go for if you're like weird, it's very offensive to listen to and a bit hard on the ears, but there's a record called Franken Girls Will Seem Strangely Sexy. It was made in 2000s, and like the amount of samples packed into that record, it would be too expensive to make nowadays, like because you'd be sued like to high heaven. And it's like literally the first track starts with telling you to go fuck yourself, which is such a bold thing for a band to do and so weird. And like I've got it on interesting weird records I've ever bought, and it just works. I don't know why.
Fair play. Right, what's your cover band, or who's playing your cover set?
So I've had to change this because I didn't know the rules were you had to not pick somebody that had covered something before. So I've gone with Launch Control, who are, if you know me, are probably one of my favorite UK bands because they just mean so much to me as a band, like being from Reading and like literally being the first other punk band I've ever met. And like their guitarist Alex produces all our records and produces all of our stuff, and they're just like our best mates in punk rock. So getting them to do a cover set is just a no-brainer for me. And I've gone for the logical thing, which is...
Wait, we're guessing.
Yeah, guess it.
Well, we're attempting to guess. I'm going to go Anti-Flag.
Yeah, I'd also go Anti-Flag, I think.
I mean, yeah, I'm just going to say the same.
Yeah, bang on, Anti-Flag, like no brainer. Getting the three of them to do Anti-Flag covers the whole night and making them play things like Die for Your Government to like Press Corps, like I'd take it in a like cinch. Like having them like cover one of my favorite bands would be just a no-brainer for me. Yeah, that's my lineup.
What is the name of your all-dayer?
I didn't know we had to name it, but I'm going to go with...
Do not read messages.
I'm going to pull the... Maybe. I read. I'm going to go with Dan's Super Happy Fun Time All Day of the best music.
That's a really long thing to write down. Dan's Super... And what is the... where you're going to have this nice day?
I'm going to go with Face Bar in Reading, being my favourite area of Reading and the place we put most of our shows on going forward. So,
well, that does sound like a fun day. So, Dan, Super Happy Fun Time at FaceTime Reading.
Face Bar.
My bad. I was listening to you. There we go. All right, that's Dan. So, we got anything we want to say about Dan's day?
I think it's pretty good. I really like sort of Drones and the Human Project. I think the two really, really sort of great bands. So I think you're doing a good job there, Dan.
I like Boom Boom Raccoon like right in the middle, just to really, really throw things off.
Yeah, I thought like throw them in the middle where like I feel like you get like a bunch of heavy stuff and then suddenly like Boom Boom Raccoon come on and just like change up the vibe completely by like throwing in acoustic like political punk in the middle.
The idea of like Moscow Death Brigade's fans turning up and then seeing Boom Boom Raccoon and wondering are they at the right place.
I think they would love Boom Boom Raccoon, their fans. Like I think they would fall absolutely in love with like, that sort of stuff.
They Moscow Death Brigade have played New Cross a couple of times I think now. Like Paul's like showed me some videos and pictures, and I feel like a trip to the A&E is probably in order after their set.
Oh, man,
it's insane.
They're playing in May, I think now. I think I'm looking forward to going to that gig. Like it will be absolutely mental.
Right, excellent. Right, before we move on to, we'll go Lara next. We'll do a quick little advert because we're about to get timed out. But I have adverts written down on a bit of paper somewhere. Here we go. Right, so the first one is, again, Shout Louder, our good friends, are releasing Paper Cuts #2, which is lots of stories, like 50 plus people from the punk scene everywhere. And it's got stories about like gigs, festivals, and touring. That's coming out soon. That's and that's all money that is being raised for Music Venue Trust, which is obviously a very important organisation. Just search Shout Louder on Facebook or Instagram, and you'll find out all the details and who's written stuff for it and where to buy it and all that kind of stuff. Right, and we will see you in a second for part 2. Now, hello, welcome back to part 2 of CPRW podcast. We're still talking about fantasy festivals, and now Lara's going to run us through hers.
Okay, cool. So I literally have had like a day to think of this. So it's kind of been like jotting everything down this morning. Do you want me to say like what category they're under, or just kind of say?
No, just say the band and why you've picked them, why you like them.
All right, cool. So the opening, I'm going to go with the Dead Krasukis. I know we mentioned them in the last podcast, but I saw them last year in opening in Punk in Drublic, and they had like really, really good energy for like an opening band, and I thought they'd be a really good one to kind of get the whole all day going. So that's my opening one. Okay. Next, I'm going to go with Terror Group. So they're going to be the European represent fuck Brexit band. And they could do either English or German or whatever, however they want to kind of do their set. I'm not that fussed. So that's the second one. Third one, I'm going to go with King Prawn from London.
Oh, yes.
And even if they just do Dominant View over and over again for half an hour, like that's fine with me. Yeah, so there's that one. Let me just have a look at my next page. Okay, so the one for Reunion, they actually split up this year, a couple of months ago. They were a band called Milk Teeth. So it took me, I was really upset about the breaking up actually, because it took me a long time to really get into them, because I've been listening to them for about a year or so off and on until I really, really got into them. Because they're a little bit more grungy than and noisy than I'm usually used to listening to. So it took me a while to get into them. And then they released their new album this year, the self-titled Milk Teeth album. And that came out just around the time that we went into lockdown. So I was listening to that a lot when I moved house and was in lockdown. And I kind of fell in love with the album. And then they just go and break up. Like it's no big deal. Like I was on the bus to London. We were going for a weekend away, and I was scrolling through Instagram like, oh, I can't wait to go for a weekend away in London, it's going to be awesome. And I come across this post, like, what? I felt like someone had broken up with me, you know, like your blood runs cold and everything. I was like, you were like my new favorite band, and you like, I haven't even seen you play and I'm never going to now. So that's when I would love to kind of reform and come back, and I'd love to go and see them. Yeah, so that's that one. Let me just cross that one off so I don't say it again. Yeah, so I know we mentioned last time as well, Colin, like how much we like light years. So I chose my acoustic set to be Chaz Palmer Williams.
Oh,
so I thought that would be quite cool.
Great shout.
Yeah, because he's just he's a lot of fun. Like his writing, I think he's a really talented writer.
Yeah.
And I think he's got so much like sincerity in his songwriting, but also he makes it funny as well in the charm, and his accent kind of adds some charm to his singing. And I think obviously you'll have like the light year crowd will kind of like love it or whatever. But even if you don't know him from, he's still really listenable, and it's really catchy. He's really personable. It's like he's your friend, isn't it, when you listen to him? So that's who I'd have as my acoustic one. Let's see. Okay, so the next one I'd have to go, I think, from acoustic is probably the next one I'm going to have is a band called Wager, which I think they would kind of go quite well. I'm not sure if like you guys have heard of them. They're quite new. I think they started last year. They're from Swansea, which is where I'm from. And they used to, well, they're kind of made up of members of the band Pete's Sake, and Dopamine, and I think Attack as well. So the kind of the mid-2000s kind of onwards kind of UK pop punk scene. So they come out, and they're kind of, it's a little bit more kind of like beardy, gruff kind of sound to them. They're a lot slower than like I think what we were used to with them before. But I think that's kind of a nice move on from the acoustic, kind of gently bringing you into kind of a bit more kind of a movement kind of sound. So that's who I would go for. Plus, you know, it's kind of got the Welsh connections for me, Swansea especially, and also, you know, like they're good friends with my husband, so it kind of big shout them out as well. And that leads me on then to, let's have a look. Yeah, just before the headliner. So I think this one would come on quite well from Wager. They're kind of a slightly, I think they're just going to be like a faster, kind of more, I don't know, version of them. I've gone for my American band, I've gone with Iron Chic. So I was initially, I wasn't sure who to pick, because I do tend to have like rely quite a lot on Fat Wreck bands, because I do like, that's kind of what I usually listen to. But I wanted to kind of move away a little bit from that kind of reliance, I guess. And I was listening to Tender Defender this morning, because I really like Latimer as well. And obviously it's essentially that band, just a different sound. So I thought I'd just put them down as that one. Yeah, so we're on to the headline now.
This is tricky.
It is. And to be honest, I didn't really know who to put down for this. If you want a clue, I can give you a clue, but it won't be. They're Welsh.
Welsh.
Yeah.
I figured they probably would be a Welsh band. Who's question the mark?
Funeral for a friend?
Pardon?
Well, funeral for a friend?
Yeah, funeral.
Oh,
yeah.
Good
Interestingly, yeah. Oh, thank you. But question the mark. The drummer used to be in my husband's old band, The Shortcuts.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so Lewis is a nice guy. Yeah, so I got Funeral for a Friend as the headliner. I'm actually, hopefully, as long as we can go ahead to gigs, I'm going to see them in April. So
Yeah.
Countdown is on. Emo time.
I assume your gig will be taking place in Wales as well.
It will be. It
Yeah.
will be in the pub in Newport.
Wow.
Because that's a perfect capacity for an all-dayer. And I've also given it a Welsh name because I couldn't think of anything else. Just call it Urfest, which is just the fest in Welsh.
How do you spell that? My Welsh spellings aren't what they should be.
No, it's fine. So it's which is this YR. So like your YR.
Your.
And then just fest.
Urfest.
Yeah, Urfest.
I'm not going to try and pronounce that again for fear of
It sounded good.
Welsh
It's
people.
fine. None taken. It's all good.
Right. And who are you going to have doing your cover band or being your cover band?
Do the cover band first, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, so I chose High Standard from Japan.
Right. Are they the band who are being covered?
They are the cover band because they do a lot of covers anyway.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah. So they are the ones who are going to be doing it.
Ah, so who would High Standard cover? Oh, got to be another skate punk band, surely. No use for a name?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No effects.
Mm-mm-mm.
Green Day?
Nope.
Is it Fat Wreck?
It's not. No.
Okay.
Well. I've gone for because I thought the voice sound would be different and kind of funny to hear. So I've gone for Bouncing Souls.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah.
great.
Oh, thank you. I was really worried about it. I was like, what could I do? Because I really like the, I've never seen High Standard, but whenever I kind of watch videos or shows on YouTube or whatever, they've always got such good energy. And I think couple that with sort of the vocals of Bouncing Souls, I think that's a really good kind of end to a day for me.
I was thinking about Bouncing Souls for my cover set. Just as a quick side note, what's your favourite Bouncing Souls album?
Oh, Jesus. I do like the first, the self-titled Bouncing Souls, just because it's got my favourite song on it. It's got Say Anything, and that's my favourite Bouncing Souls song. So, yeah, that one. It's not even that good.
Yeah, me and
What's your
Richard.
favourite, Colin?
How I spent my summer vacation, because it's the right answer.
I was going to say that.
It's not the right answer. It's not.
Yeah.
Gold Song's
Yeah.
the right answer.
Oh,
The Gold
that is a
album.
good one.
Gold,
Yeah.
album's good or Hopeless Romantic.
We have this argument probably monthly.
I do like Manthem because it's one guitar note. That's the lead line.
That's
just
how it
one
should.
note played
That's
over
how
and
things
over again.
should be. Things shouldn't be complicated. Okay. Right. So with Chaz Palmer, are you going to have him do his own stuff or Lightyear stuff or a mixture?
Well, I was thinking a mixture because he hasn't got a ton of stuff of his own. I said, well, not.
He's got an album. Yeah.
Yeah, an album. Yeah. I'd like to see him do Lightyear stuff, but I don't mind really. I mean, I like all his songs, all his
Yeah.
songwriting, and it'll sound good either way. But it would be cool to see him do some light year stuff. I don't think
Yeah.
I've heard any light year acoustic or anything like that. So that would be cool.
Yeah, I saw him do Pack of Dogs once.
Oh no way!
Yeah, which was really cool. But I've only seen him a couple of times, like play acoustic. He should. It's a shame he can't do more
Yeah.
because he's really good. Like as I say,
Yeah,
as
he
a
is.
songwriter, like
Yeah.
cool. And what a terror group? Who are they? I don't know them.
Well, honestly, I don't know that much about them. I think 99% German based on the name.
Yeah.
And I can't remember how I started listening to them, but I remember maybe about 12 years ago, me and my husband had a CD of theirs and we had it in the car. I don't know where we got it from, whether it was from like someone at a gig had given it to us or something. But it's they just have a lot of funny songs. Like there's one called Rambo 3 and it's just about Rambo 3. And it's just kind of German punk rock. And they have, I'm not sure how much is in English, but I think there's a lot of it is in German. But it's definitely worth a listen to. It's a lot of fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
like a bit like the band called Snap Out, who are based in London, who did a whole album based on Arnold Schwarzenegger films.
What?
Yeah,
No way.
it's actually a really good album as well.
Okay, cool.
So check, like, and they're nice guys as well. So Snap Out, we love them. Right. So
Cool.
anything else? Anyone else got anything to add for Eurofest?
No, I think it's a really good lineup, really strong lineup. I think sort of Iron Chic are just the perfect festival band, aren't they? You know,
Yeah.
you just think like massive, like especially sort of late in the day, you know, sort of everyone's sort of high energy,
Yeah.
big sing-alongs. Yeah, great lineup.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was really late getting into Iron Chic. One of my friends a few years ago saw them and got really into them, and he mentioned them to me, and I just was like, yeah, I'll listen to them, no worries. But it wasn't until maybe 6 months ago I started really kind of like listening to them, and it's just I haven't been able to stop. So I can't believe it's taken me this long. They've been around for ages.
Yeah. But yeah, their first album was 10 years old this year, which was just blew my mind. It's like, wow.
It's crazy, and it's such a good album. Like, there's not one song I skip on that, you know, and it's quite rare to find albums, like especially kind of first ones like that. Yeah.
Right, so we'll move on to Richard. You want to go next?
Yeah, can do. Right, so I have a name and a venue. I've already thought of this for you, Colin. So
Gold Star.
I know. So I've gone for Forge a Path Fest is the way that we're going.
Oh, you've really put thought into this.
I have put thought into this, and you know, like we were talking about at the start about sort of that issue about sort of representation. I think really when I was sort of putting this together, and I think there's so many sort of great bands out there that you know, sort of either need or would benefit from a platform and exposure to sort of a larger audience. And certainly when you get to sort of the headliner that I've put together, you know, they bring a crowd anyway, and you just kind of think that there's probably a crowd that would be quite receptive to, you know, sort of some of the other bands that are on the bill. So it's quite an eclectic bill. And the venue, so I'm from Scarborough. I go to a lot of shows in Leeds. So I really wanted to avoid Leeds because then we've got like Slam Dunk Fest and Leeds Fest. And, I mean, so much happens there. And I'm originally from just outside Birmingham. And one of the towns sort of over from us is now getting a really, really good name for putting on shows. So I've been there once and it was amazing. It was such a great little venue. So I'll be putting this on at Red Rum in
I
Stafford.
thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's about to say Red Rum and Redditch.
It's such a great little venue, really, really friendly. And it's the kind of place that you can think, you know, again, when you're talking about sort of the headliners and they would absolutely pack out the venue. But I think it's just, you know, there's nothing really in the Midlands these days. I mean, we used to have sort of back when I was living there, we had the Foundry. The Foundry was a wonderful, wonderful venue in Birmingham. There's not really been anything since then that has been sort of able to attract sort of the caliber of bands that we're talking about, and you know, sort of the type of bands that we all love. So Red Rum for me. Went and saw Red City Radio there last year before, and it's just an amazing little venue. You know, really friendly. The people are amazing. So for me, that's where, you know, it's the perfect place to host this. So
It's all right.
I've also played a little bit fast with the rules, Colin, as I'm sure you're aware.
Disgusting.
I know.
Or better of you. Dan, I expected it from, not you.
So the reason that I've done that is I really wanted the acoustic act to be present on the bill for a number of reasons. First of all, it's like one of my heroes, so it was a great opportunity to do it. But I also think in terms of sort of some of the messages that you kind of think you want to try and get out through the festival, it's just the right voice to have there. So my acoustic act, although American, because half of his day job band are now based in Germany, they tour in Germany sort of relentlessly. They're on a German label. For all intents and purposes, I'm going to say he's German for the purpose of this festival. He's going to be Nathan Gray from
What a surprise.
So I think his new album's amazing. Everything that he's put out, sort of either with Boy Sets Fire or without Boy Sets Fire, is just brilliant. But I think more than anything, it's his social commentary and his sort of astuteness about sort of social issues and what's going on, and sort of challenging sort of people's perceptions of things. I really think, you know, sort of bit of an MC really for the day, rather than just an acoustic act, you know, sort of to tell people about sort of issues that are going on. I think it'd be a really sort of strong sort of opening stroke acoustic act for us. So he was my my first one, but I can rest assured, Colin, he's the only other American apart from the American act on the list. Moving down then, so the official openers for the day, and again, because of sort of being in the north, I think there's a real connection with sort of that Leatherface gruff punk sound we've always sort of done really well, and I really wanted to make sure that that was represented on the bill. I've gone for Misfortune Cookie. So they're you know, sort of a band from York, so they're just down the road from us. Last year's album was one of my favourites. It's still on rotation quite a lot this year. Previously, members of Bear Trade, who were just incredible, you know, sort of 2 albums and an EP they put out were just perfect. And I think sort of adding Helen Chambers' vocals to sort of that real gruff punk sound has just given them a completely different edge. And I can't really think of anyone else that sounds quite like them at the moment. They've got a really nice, unique sort of almost Iron Sheik, but with a really soft sort of lilty vocal.
Cool.
Yeah, just incredible. So for me, I think sort of a real nice sort of movement on from sort of the acoustic opening of Nathan Gray into sort of a little bit of a sort of aggressively folky punk kind of stuff. My next act is the act that's formed in the last few years, and I think they are still within that to a certain extent, but I also think they're probably the most exciting band in the UK at the moment in terms of just how different they are to anything else that's out there, and that's Arcs. And I spoke about them last time, a duo, Hammy and Lara, but they for 2 people, they just make such an incredible noise. It's just sort of very garagey rock, you know, just that kind of stuff that you'd listen to and get swept up away. And you know, they're just very, very good, talented musicians, really friendly, you know, sort of super energetic. And you just think, you know, for sort of picking up the pace in the middle of a festival, you know, sort of early morning, they're absolutely the kind of band that you want in there. So I think I'll go for them next. I think they've done, again, just in terms of the message for the day, they've done loads of stuff. They're from Brighton. They've done loads of stuff around sort of the LGBTQ plus agenda. And I think, again, it's about sort of raising awareness about sort of the different voices that we've got in the scene. I think they bring a lot of great stuff to the day. So they're definitely ones that I'd want involved. Moving on, I've got a couple of European bands next for you. First one is Shellycoat. So they've put out, again, a fantastic album this year from Germany. Just one of those bands that you hear and just instantly there's a lovely nostalgic feel to sort of the way that they sound. And it's very much like, you know, the moment when you first sort of hear a band like Tilt and you've got like Cinderblock's voice coming at you, like, yeah, how great is that voice? I think Karen's got exactly the same. It's exactly the same as sort of hearing sort of Partial Birth for the first time, sort of listening to Shellycoat. So I put them in. Really great album, Hide the Knives, that came out this year. It's very good. So I'd say it's sort of a skate light album. You can definitely feel that it's got sort of that 90s skate punk vibe to it, but it's very poppy at the same time. But it's just a really, really good album. Loads of sort of fantastic sing-along songs in there, and I think sort of it reverberate the song off the album. One of the best songs I've heard this year. It's just incredible. So yeah, love them. And again, so they're obviously representing Germany, and I thought it's only fair that we have someone to represent France in there as well, you know, sort of another of our close neighbours. So I've gone for Heavy Heart from Nantes. And again, just, you know, thinking now middle afternoon, very much in the same way that you were sort of thinking of Iron Chic, probably in terms of sort of picking up the pace. Loads of really fast gruff punk sing-along songs, hugely entertaining. They've done 3 albums of just pure belters, you know, from start to finish. Those albums are not a bad song on them. So for me, I think they'd be the perfect sort of mid-afternoon band. And then just before we get to our headliner, we've got the Reunion Act. And again, there was just one band that I could really think of for this, and it was again one of those bands that I really wish I'd have had the opportunity to see. They've never toured in the UK. They were very, very short-lived, and the amount of stuff they put out in that short period of time that is of just the highest quality, I think would make me think I really, really would want to see them. They're just the best band, I think, for me over the last sort of 5 years, the band I've probably listened to the most. And that's Turnspit. So they're Chicago-based, or were Chicago-based punk band. Just one of those bands that, again, just sort of bridge that nice sort of divide between sort of that Heartland rock kind of sound that you've probably got with sort of the Menzingers now, and the real gruff punk sing-along stuff that you've got with like Iron Chic. They just sort of sat very nicely in the middle of that. 2 vocalists. You've got Gillian, who's got a real great raspy, throaty, you know, sort of voice, and then you've got Jason, who's sort of even more gruff than that. And they're just the melodies, the harmonies, everything about that band is just perfect. So yeah, absolutely devastated they split up, much like you were saying about sort of Milk Teeth again. You know, you just sort of, as soon as you hear that they've split up, you're like, how is that there? It's just not. They put out their album, they put out 2 singles afterwards, and Dan from 88 Fingers Louie produced the 2 extra songs they put out, and he said that one of them was the best song that he'd ever worked on. And you just think, for him, who's written and been involved in the writing process of bands like Rise Against and 88 Fingers Louie, to come out and say something as positive as that about their output, just a great band. So yeah, they're my Reunion Act. And that brings me on to my headliner.
Oh, well, you're allowed one more band, Richard. You've only got 6.
I've got the headliner and then the what's it called?
I think you're allowed one more though. Well, you're allowed 8.
I'm allowed one more.
Yeah,
I can
one more,
slip
Richard.
something else in. Oh wow. Okay.
Just to put you on the spot.
That's a good one. Oh. See, again, I'm kind of. Can I have another American band?
As I put you on the spot, and well, sure, because
actually, no, do you know what?
Air is awkward.
I tell a lie. No, I tell a lie. I know exactly where I go for the extra band. I go for Caves from Exeter.
Nice.
I think just again, one of those bands that every time they've just been absolutely incredible. You know, you just sort of watch a band and you're thinking, I can't believe sort of how brilliant they are. So yeah, I would go for Caves without a doubt. Just, I can't remember the last time they were up this way. I mean, I saw them with Timeshares and Dividers, I think it was, down in at Santiago's bar a good few years ago. I don't think they've been back up this way. Are they still going, actually, Caves?
I saw them with Camp Cope, I think, in maybe 2 years ago in London. But I think that Lou, the singer, if I made that up. Yeah, Lou. I think they live in America now.
All right. Okay.
I might be wrong, because I know that they play bass with Reviver now as well. Well, they were. So.
Yeah, no, they were. Just thinking about the agenda and what we're sort of pulling together for the day. I think that'd be a really, really good.
Yeah, that's a great shout, especially off the top of your head as well. Well done. I would have run off of that and come here. Like, no, not playing anymore. So what's your headliner? What could Richard's headliner be? See, I would normally just say Boy Set Fire because I know you, but is that right?
No.
Okay. Tough choice.
To be honest, like most of the bands that you mentioned, Richard, this podcast and last are bands that I haven't heard of. So guessing your headliner would be a stab in the dark.
No. The headliners are really, really well known. If I say Swedish,
Mill and Colin.
No.
Oh, Raised Fist.
No, but that's a great shout though.
Refused? Are they Swedish?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sweden has a lot of good bands.
Nice.
Sweden's got some incredible bands, but I would, for me again, just thinking about sort of how to put this together, and you know, it's all well and good sort of having the movement and the people behind it, but there's got to be a political element, and I think for me they are the quintessential political punk band in terms of the way that they approach sort of the argument, the way they sort of try and put that argument forward, and they're also, I would probably say, the single best live band I've seen. They're just one of those bands that you watch and you cannot decide sort of who to be looking at because they're just all incredibly talented. I without a doubt, just the one of the greatest bands the last sort of 20 years. So yeah, to get them at Red Rum, I think would be amazing.
What's the capacity at Red Rum? It can't be that, like,
about 180, I think. 180,
wow.
190.
Yeah, that would be good luck getting tickets for that. Cover band.
Right, so I've gone for, again, another of my favourite northern bands. I've gone for Martha.
Who are Martha going to cover? Do they sound like Martha? Are they sort of the same world of Martha?
Yeah, see, I kind of thought of what would I like to see as part of a covers set, and then I kind of worked back from that. So for me, it was like, this is what I would, if someone said they were doing this, I would be all over it. Does it sound like Martha? I think you could see that it would work really well, but they've never covered this band before.
Could we get a clue, like record label?
Oh yeah, good shout. I think Geffen was the label.
Wow. So it's 90s or 2000s era.
90s.
It's not something stupid like Blink-182, is it?
No, but that's but
that would be incredible. I want to see Martha do Blink-182 now.
But it's a good ballpark, is that?
Right.
I'd probably just work back a couple of years from Blink.
Newfound Glory?
No.
Who else is on Geffen?
It's still relevant as well. That's the other thing I'd say. Just very scattergun in the quality over recent years.
Oh, Green Day?
Weezer?
Exactly. Lara's
Oh, wow. Ooh.
But I would do it as just the Blue album. So Martha playing the Blue album would be incredible.
Yeah, that's a great album. My favourite Weezer song, my favourite song ever is on that one, Saying So. I think it's such a good song, such a good album. I was really into Weezer back in the day as well. Yeah. Good shout. Good shout.
I think, you know, when you're thinking, I hope Martha see this and think, do you know what, we're going to do that. We're going to put together a show where we can play the Blue album. They would do such a good job of it.
So put it like when I've been thinking about this, so like what I could have, like thinking of the cover band has just been a lot of fun. Like, which bands would I like to see beat other bands? I could have a list, but before we go on to mine, Dan has some news he'd like to talk about.
Yeah, this podcast, Colin tells me, is going out on Tuesday. So tomorrow, Wednesday, we have a new Tape It Shut EP dropping, completely out of nowhere. It is full of the 4 songs we recorded at the same time as Dinosaurs vs. Robots, which is our previous EP. 2 are brand new songs, 2 are re-recordings of old ones. We've got 2 political songs on there and 2 more fun pop punk songs. It's just a lovely little EP just to get you through the end of lockdown, really. And yeah, just
Excellent.
Go out and enjoy it.
And
it's called Twin Triggers and will be available everywhere. And apart from Bandcamp, we're going to release Bandcamp late and put an extra track on it.
Fair. I won't shout out Bandcamp Day right now then. Right, okay, so we'll move on to my one, which I've written down somewhere on my massive pad of scribbles. Right, okay. So I'm terrible at naming things, as you've probably seen if you've ever looked at the CPRW Records album names. But I have a cracking name for one that I've got planned for next year, which I'm not telling you yet. It works much better written down than when I try and pronounce it. Right, so it's called Getting Croaky Fest. Because it's just the whole day is essentially bands you're going to shout along with and get a sore throat. So Getting Croaky Fest, and obviously it's going to be at New Cross, because where else would it have been? So Oh no, actually, we'll continue this in a little while because we're about to run out of time. So what I will do is a quick advert. So I've got a shout out for a new band called Hiding from Humans, who have a new EP out called Radio. They're a pop punk band from Canada. If you like sort of drive-through record bands like Alistair, Newfound Glory, Midtown, they're a band you definitely should be checking out. Even like, yeah, that's them. So Hiding from Humans, I have a new EP called Radio. Check that out. And we will see you in 1 second. Oh, wait. I know what I'm... Welcome back to part 3 of the CPRW podcast. It's now my turn to run through my all-dayer. As I said just 2 seconds ago, it's called Getting Croaky Fest, and it's at New Cross. Like so for me, like a good part of like an all-dayer is it being like a mates fest. It's nice to have that community feel. So a lot of my bands I picked I'm good pals with as well. So because if you're putting on a gig, put on your mates. That would be my rule. So, but the opener is it's also my acoustic band. I've gone for apologies, I have none doing an acoustic set because like they started as an acoustic band, like 2-piece. But I sort of got into them after they released like their first album, London, which is probably one of my top 5 albums ever. I've never seen them acoustic, so I quite like that. And so having them on first, I think they draw a big crowd as well. So just reasoning gets the people in for the smaller bands who are on early to have apologies early. And then my second band who I've spoken about at least twice on this podcast is All Depends from Dundee. They're based in Dundee, but they're like they're an Englishman, a American, and a Mexican sort of who met in Conroy's basement in Dundee and then formed their band. It's sort of like an alternative. Also sounds like the start of a really bad joke, but they're an alternative like folk sort of punk hardcore band with like the lyrics come out, they're almost like rap as well. I saw them live last year and it blew me away. They're like really, really captivating, like the explosive live band. And I really like them as people as well. Like they were like one of the first bands on that when I saw them, and they hung around like the whole weekend of the festival, like really enthusiastically supporting all the other bands. I really like to see that. So I thought that's why they're on. Next up is Captain Arsehole from Germany, who again I bang on about loads. I think one of the best bands in the world at the moment, personally. Like their album What an Awful Life last year was my album of the year. They're like a gruff pop punk band, lots of songs about like growing up and like life, sort of reaching your 30s, and just again incredible band, really, really good live, and again just really lovely people. They were supposed to come over for Bristol Booze Cruise this year as well, but obviously Corona messed that up, and obviously with the impending Brexit disaster, all these European bands aren't gonna be able to come over anymore, at least not in a legal fashion. So that was a part of the reason I was like, for one of like the rules of this whole thing was fuck Brexit, European bands. Because
Cool.
Yeah, over in Europe there are so many really good bands that we don't talk about enough in the UK. Next up is another one of my really good friends is KEMF, obviously, because again, like if I'm putting on a gig of any sort, I would probably put KEMF on there. Like they're just like, they're really good on record, but I think live, there's just something else. Like, I don't think you can appreciate how good they are as a band until you see them live. Like, really, really tight. Like, Ben and Tobias, like the bass player and the drummer, are two, without being too disrespectful to the punk rock scene, they are too good to be playing punk rock music. Like, we saw, like, KTMF play at, like, the MPF brewery thing, and their drummer Tobias played the whole set with one arm, and you wouldn't have noticed the difference. It was like, unless you hadn't have seen them before, you probably wouldn't have even noticed. You just think, oh, one-arm drummer, cool. But they're just really, really good. And again, just really good people who I like to spend time with. So they're playing Getting Croaky Fest. KTMF are like a sort of folky, heart on your sleeve punk band as well. Just if you haven't heard them yet, and go check them out. Obviously, again, for bringing one band down from Scotland, bring another. So goodbye Blue Monday, obviously, because I mean, they are my friends, but I do genuinely think they are the best punk rock band in the UK at the moment. Like, Graham is arguably one of the best songwriters around at the moment. Like, super, super honest lyrics. Like they touch on mental health. Like, the majority of their songs are about mental health, which is an important thing to be talking about these days. And I know they were working on getting their first full length out this year, and I think I'm allowed to say this. If not, I'm very sorry, Graham. But they've sent me a couple of demos, from what they've been working on, and they just blew my mind. So good. So if COVID hadn't have been a thing this year, we probably would have got a Goodbye Blue Monday album, and it would have been everyone's album of the year. I'm very confident. And again, I love Graham. I love the rest of the guys in Goodbye Blue Monday. So, and again, at New Cross as well, they always drew such a good crowd, such an enthusiastic crowd for them. So, yeah, Goodbye Blue Monday. Then for my reunion band is another band from Europe, from France. So I've got a German and a French band as well. There are other countries in Europe, we are aware. But this is a Wank for Peace from, I think you pronounce it Angers in France. I saw them, I think it was 2012, 2013 at the Wimble in Brixton. They supported River Jumpers and Ducking Punch. River Jumpers should also perform, actually. But yeah. And they play really raspy vocal, melodic hardcore, I guess is the best way of describing them. And I really enjoyed their performance. In 2014, they released Fail Forward, which is, again, one of my favorite albums ever. I don't really listen to a lot of heavy stuff like that because I'm a ska kid at heart. There's no ska bands on this. But yeah, and their album, every time, it's just one of those albums that really, really pump you up whenever you, before I go and play football, more often than not, I'll have that album on just to get me ready to go kick some people. And yeah, and they split up before I got to see them play any of that album live. I know they did a couple of reunion shows in France last year, and I was actually in Germany at the time, and I was kind of tempted to get on a train, but I was at Booze Cruise, so I figured I better not. Yeah, they're just fantastic, and they have started a new band up since those reunion shows, and I've forgotten the name, so it's really hard to search for a band if you've forgotten what they're called. So, but yeah, so my reunion would be Wank for Peace. And my penultimate act before the headline is Crazy Arm, because again, legends of the DIY scene, sort of folky roots punk rock from Plymouth. Again, really, really good live band. They're really good at getting a crowd going. Would draw a massive crowd. Wouldn't need my headliner. I think that just putting Crazy Arm as a headliner would do a lot of tickets, and I just can't think of a better band to open for my headliner either. So I figured Crazy Arm would be a really good shout for that. So yeah, can anyone guess what my headline band is?
Against Me?
Oh, bang on, straight away. Well done. Did you have any other guesses before Richard ruined the fun for everyone?
I didn't pin you as a big Against Me guy.
I love Against Me.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I think there's looking through your lineup and you're thinking, it just almost was just sort of saying Against Me. Do you know what I mean? If you sort of pointed towards it. Yeah, really good lineup.
I've never seen them play in a small venue either, and I think that's just something that needs to be done before I die. Because I've seen videos from the old days before they sort of got bigger, and just how a mess it looks and how crazy it looks. And I just wish I could have experienced that. And there's a part of me that wants to have them do an old school sort of set as well, sort of Fat Wreck and Backwards kind of set, but also appreciate with Lara and all of her newer stuff, how important those songs are to people. And I don't think it would be very fair for they only play Reinvent a Laxal Rose. And so I think it's they can play what they like, basically. I'll let them do that. Yeah, and I was for my covers band, I was gonna have KEMF play an Against Me cover set because I think that would be really good. But then I thought I'd just have Against Me play and have Katie play. So for my cover set, like, so I've picked the burnt tapes plus Hassan from Triple Sunday singing lead vocals because I want to get all my mates on it. And who do you think they would be?
Oh,
They are an American band.
I'm just trying to.
And I know that they all
it's
love
not
that
the
band.
Menzingers
No.
because of the because we've agreed not to do that. Iron Sheik, possibly.
Yeah, Iron Sheik.
Oh, cool.
Because I know all those boys absolutely love Iron Sheik, and I think Hassan's voice would be perfect to be Librano as well. So, and again, to combine both bands just gets more of my mates on the bill, and I get to spend more time with my mates, which is what an all-dayer is all about. Okay, well, that's anything you want to critique about this amazing lineup I've put together?
No critique. Just when the
That's a
tickets.
good day out, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all put on very good shows, all quite different shows as well.
Yeah.
Which would be, so if we have like a festival of this whole, like a 4-day festival of this whole thing, Dan, you are technically a promoter, so you are in charge of putting this together.
This would be expensive, man. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, with refused and against me and fuel for a friend. Just
and getting mindless self-indulgence back together, this would all be very expensive.
Yeah. And getting high standard over from Japan
Yeah.
would be a bit of an issue.
But I was going to say, you're completely right on the money on Goodbye Blue Monday. Like, every time I've watched them play, I've just been in awe. Like, the songwriting is perfect. They put out an acoustic EP, I'd mention, as well this year.
Yes, they did.
Like, the last song on that, like, brings me to tears every single time I listen to it.
What is the last song on that? Forgotten.
I can't remember.
No, it had a Misery Punk on it, but that was
Don't
first.
Tell Me or something like that.
I have the internet at my disposal.
It starts with you're lying on the sofa and I'm self-harming in the bathroom. Like, those are the first two lines, and like it just breaks me down completely, that song.
Goodbye Blue Monday. Hang on, technology.
And they did a song
Yeah,
pretending
Don't Tell
to be...
Me. Yeah, 4 tracks. Misery Punk Ruin My Life, Worst in the Mornings, Take Your Pills, and then Don't Tell Me, which I think is a new song.
Yeah. And they did that Frank Turner weird song, Taking the Piss, as well this year, which was fantastic.
Yeah, because all of the bands who have done live streams this year, Goodbye Blue Mondays have been my favourite. Like Graham and Sean are just hilarious.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're just an absolutely amazing band. Like, I'm so happy you've just let us in on that, like, sort of tidbit that the album is sounding amazing. Because I out of all of the bands in UK, I've just been absolutely wishing that they'd do an album already.
Yeah. They were planning on it, but this year.
Yeah.
And again, hopefully Graham isn't going to be upset with me for saying this. We'll keep it our secret.
And with Against Me, I am one of those people that would be rather upset if they didn't play their newer stuff. Like, Black Me Out is my Have a Cry song. Like, if you haven't gone through and read Laura Jane Grace's autobiography, like, that song is so perfect. Like, she talks about basically playing it for the first time on New Year's and having like everyone basically talking over her while she's just playing it on guitar quietly in the back, and it just like literally like brings me to tears just thinking about it. So like,
yeah, right. So I think we're finishing. I think if you have any comments on the festivals we've put together, then leave them in the comment boxes and critique. Give us your opinions on stuff. I've seen YouTubers do that, so leave a like in the comments. That's what they say. And this Friday, I've written it down, the 4th of December. Is that correct? Maybe, yes. Yes, Friday the 4th of December is the last Bandcamp day of the year, and CPRW Records are going to put all of our 2020 comps at 50% off, so to try and raise that last bit of money before the end of the year. And obviously it's Christmas, so people don't have a lot of money, so if you can afford anything, it's 50% off, so it's the best time to complete your collection, really. Those comps have raised money for Crisis, Macmillan, the Music Venue Trust, Refugee Action, Fair Share, and IMCAN. and they're just packed with loads of great bands from all walks of punk rock. So please check them out. CPRWrecords.bandcamp.com or something like that. Professional. Yeah, so there you go. I think we're going to put together playlists for all of our days. So if you want to check out some of the bands we've mentioned, if you're not aware of them, then do that. You'll probably find some new favorites because there are some really good bands mentioned. Yeah, as I say, Dan has his Tape It Shut have their new EP out tomorrow. So check that out. I'm looking forward to listening to that. I'm sad he hasn't sent it to me already.
Only got finished yesterday.
I'll let you off then. Bad Dan number 2. Right. Thank you special thanks to Lara actually for joining us last minute. So very much appreciate that. It's just to have 4 people and have like the square. And again, you've brought some more quality chat to the Colin's Punk Rock World podcast, and thank you very much.
Oh, it's no worries. Thanks for asking. I enjoyed it. So anytime.
Yeah, and also while we're plugging things, Lara has her YouTube channel, Let's Talk Tunes. Go check that out. We mentioned it more on the vinyl podcast, so listen to that and you'll find all about Let's Talk Tunes. Okay, that's it. I still haven't thought of a cool outro. I'm just kind of rambling now. So bye everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Cool.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Stay safe.